There's a lot of orange juice drinking here. I don't know if this family's vitamin C deficient or whatnot. They have alcohol basically when the kids are partying and drinking, when the parents are gone, and OJ in the fridge that this neighbor slash friend comes and keeps on getting for from the fridge. So what's up, guys? It's Jim Alexander here with Real Talker, and yeah, kind of freaky, right? Behind me. Yeah, I'm talking about Steven Soderbergh's new film, Presence. Does it have a presence enough for you to see it? We're gonna take a deep dive into it and figure it out. I have an idea already, though.
You wonder where they are. And you wonder what it would be like if you were there too.
Okay, so Presence obviously plays itself up as a horror movie, supernatural thriller. Obviously, the name says it all. It's got a solid cast, actually. Lucy Liu plays the mother in here. Julia Fox makes a sort of a cameo appearance. Then we have Chris Sullivan, really solid, underrated actor. Kalina Liang, who's a really up and coming actress to be on the lookout for. So you have some solid, recognizable actors here. That's not the problem with the movie. The problem is, I'm delving right into it. It was boring as shit. Really, I mean, you talk about a snail pace, slow moving movie. Clearly, they were trying to sort of give this a feel of a build up, but it's building to the point where it doesn't build anywhere. The movie is an hour and 23 minutes, so it's digests fast. So that's a good part about it, that it doesn't string you along for hours on end. It's quick. It's a quick movie, but it feels like it's 2 hours because nothing seems to happen. So this family moves into a house, and in this suburban house, and there's a supernatural force that the daughter, whose name is Chloe, played by Kalina Liang, notices, right? And it's sort of weird things start happening. Books are being moved, things are falling. The typical sort of trope of ghosts in a house, but nothing too freaky. Just more so, it's like a ghost story with things moving around and falling or house shaking. Nothing earth earth shaking in a sense in that matter. Just some little signs that something's in that house, and she's sort of isolated from her family, and yeah, that's the premise. But most of the movie, it's like they're in this house. Nothing seems to happen. Chloe's always in her room and on her bed, really kind of being antisocial. The brother and her are always feuding. The parents seem to have a disconnect. The mother just seems checked out. The father's trying to hold the family together and be sort of a bridge between the kids and the parents, and trying to get close to the kids, and especially his daughter, and keep this marriage alive. But he seems miserable too at the same time. It's just not much going on. So it's sort of filmed in a documentary way. I think the best compliment about this movie is it does take creative liberties to sort of the way it's filmed, the way Soderbergh gives the visual of this film, tries to make the mundane somewhat sort of exciting, just with fancy camera movements that he has, a lot of panning, a lot of handheld stuff. I think most of it's probably handheld, as you see basically the camera moving with the characters the whole time. And I think he did a really creative thing, making this presence ghost feel like it was there. The way it's shot, it seems like the characters are talking to it, and almost to the camera being that presence. So um, a lot of shots that basically are following with the character. So like, or throughout the house, there's this quick twitchy sort of movement as if it was like a person. So basically, the presence is the camera in a lot of ways for the viewer when we watch this. So it's an interesting way of being shot and concept, made it feel more sort of like a person, not a ghost in that sense. And it's a tactic that's used to, I guess, divert from the mundane script that really doesn't have much going on in it at all. There's no purpose. I mean, we see the family dynamic. There's a family on that's struggling to stay together, basically. Um, but there's just no action. Nothing goes on. Nothing really happens. It's easy to snooze on this one or get tuned out or just waiting after 20 minutes or like nothing's happening. I don't think it's gonna happen, and it doesn't really. Um, then the only thing we see from Chloe is this sort of, uh, you know, a hookup, a sort of situationship she has with this kid Ryan, played by Wes Mulholland, who's friends with with Chloe's brother, Tyler, played by Eddie Madej in his first acting role. Does a solid job, actually. But yeah, so he has this little creepy vibe about him, this Ryan character, and he's trying to get with his buddy's sister. But yeah, nothing happens. I mean, the thing about I think the surroundings are more interesting than the characters itself. The camera movements, the way it's shot. Also, it's like pages of a book. So after one scene, there's a fade to black, and then we're on to the next scene. So it's almost divided into like these chapters slash pages almost of a book. So, have a scene a couple minutes and then bam, fades to black, and then we're at a different place in the house or we're at a different location. It's not there's sort of a lack of continuity, especially with placing the characters in different locations in the house, and that's sort of broken up by these fade to black moments that we see on screen. And it is shot sort of like a documentary. The closest to it, it does remind me of the paranormal activity movies. It's got that sort of vibe and feel to it, and just the pacing of it and the way it's shot. It definitely tries to pay an homage or steal from the paranormal activity movies in that way, sort of giving it a documentary-ish look and feel to it, with fancy camera tricks and the sort of pacing and style of it. I thought it was okay to do it. It's a little bit different than your typical, haunted ghost or haunted house movie. The house is really interesting because in itself, it doesn't seem haunted at all. It's in a normal, regular suburban neighborhood. You have neighbors on both sides of the house. And interestingly enough, it's very lit always inside. There's really not much darkness in this house at any point in this film at all. It's either you get so much sunlight coming from the outside or a lot of lights in the rooms. So there's no creep factor, which is almost eerily interesting that this house is so well lit and it's located, and we see out the window a lot, and it's located on a really busy street. Usually these paranormal sort of houses are, in the bushes, in the woods, far away from everything. You don't get to see it, humans near it. It's in the dark always. But here it's like on a busy street, and the filmmakers make you notice that it's, as soon as you see out the window, there's so much traffic going on. Every time you get that peek outside a window here, there's cars and everything. There's so much movement and traffic going on that it makes it feel not freaky. And we don't see the house from the. There's something flying in the air. I swatted it. We don't get to see the house from the outside. We get to see the inside, most of it. So we don't technically know the exact look of it on the outside till the very end, where it kind of pans out and you see that house. So the creativity stuff was interesting and sort of creative and well done. I would give credit to that, but you have two really known and experienced and really prolific filmmakers here in Soderbergh and the writer David Kopp, or Cope. But the man who wrote Mission Impossible, the original Jurassic Park, I mean, he's got a stellar resume here. So for him to come up with this sort of bland boring ghost story was surprising in a lot of ways. I just expected better. Um, it didn't feel fake, like it's sort of like a typical ghost, suspense horror in a way. It just wasn't scary at all. There's nothing scary about this movie. Maybe I'm missing the point here that it wasn't supposed to be scary. I guess the scariest part is some of these characters, in a sense, this Ryan characters, the most creepiest and scariest part of this movie, but there's nothing that'll make you give you goosebumps or jump scares or anything like that at all. It is very unscary in any way. I'm almost trying to figure out why did they even sort of paint this as a suspense horror or thriller sort of movie. There's nothing scary about it, and the visuals from these filmmakers want to make you feel that it's pretty safe surroundings with all the light and traffic going on everywhere. So maybe that's part of the creep factor. It's so normal and uncharacteristic to the trope of a horror movie of this kind. Interesting, but it just doesn't hit at the ultimately just not enough happens in this movie to really care or hold any sort of interest. I think the best part of it is probably the last 5 minutes of the movie where you do have sort of a shocking ending to it. You do see a lot of this where it's going, but the ending of it was quite actually surprising. And the most startling part about this whole film was the ending in itself. Um, didn't necessarily see it coming. It was sort of abrupt, quick, and surprising what happens there. I'm not going to spoil it because it's the only good part or interesting part of this movie. It's tough. I had high expectations. I heard a lot of hype in a sense, dating back to last year to this film. It was, I guess, painted as, a potential, January movie to see, especially with the filmmakers involved. But it just misses the mark in terms of interests. And I would imagine a lot of people would tune out and not let this movie uh, give this sort of a bake to the end, let it bake and fester and broil to the end of it because it doesn't do and catch your attention, for the first at least three-quarters of it. So kind of disappointing for my personal expectation. Now, is this an unwatchable movie? No, I think it's watchable enough just because of some of the filmmaking here, the camera tricks, the setting. It's interesting enough, and the characters aren't necessarily, the actors do as well as they can. But it's just boring all around. I think it's the writing here is the problem with this film, and for a prolific writer, this was a miss and happens, right? But it's definitely a movie I would not go out to the theaters to see. No way. Would I see it on a streamer for free on a night where you're just kind of browsing, can't find anything? Yeah, I'd give it a shot. I guess that would be the only way this movie's sort of watchable is like, you know, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. It's on a streamer. You want to check out something new. And sort of creative in a way it's done, then sure, give it a chance, but don't have high expectations for it. So that's my take on Presence. Not enough presence there to pique your interest in any way. Okay, scores, the most fun part, I guess, of this whole thing. Acting out of 10, I give it a 6. Like I said, solid, unspectacular, but not bad. Um, I think Chris Sullivan does the best work here of anyone. Becomes the most relatable character that you sort of have empathy for, and because his character has that, everyone else is just sort of in their own world, bland and uninteresting. Entertainment wise, like I said, there's little to be entertained by this movie besides the last few minutes of it, which was interesting to say the least. And has an impression, I guess. So I'd give it a 3 out of 10. Could have been even lower if not for that ending. Plot story, I give it credit for not doing the standard typical thing, the ghost story and uh which we've seen so many movies. It's different for sure, and the way it's just technically done. But when it comes to the plot and story, yeah, I think there's enough here. intrigue wise and what happens, even though it doesn't play off that way. It's a tough navigation here to give the plot and story here because the entertainment factor is so low because it's not entertainment, but the plot story wasn't horrible. Um, I'd give it a five, that being generous and fair here. Because if you combine it with the entertainment part portion of it really brings it down because of the boredom. But it's not a baseless movie. There's a theme at least trying to be established here of like this family's and in a disconnect, you know. And then what happens with this Ryan character, sort of a bad apple here, no pun intended. Just pay attention. This dude's obsessed with OJ. To think of it, maybe the actual OJ, but I meant orange juice. There's a lot of orange juice drinking here. I don't know if this family's vitamin C deficient or whatnot. They have alcohol basically when the kids are partying and drinking, when the parents are gone, and OJ in the fridge that this neighbor slash friend comes and keeps on getting for from the fridge. So don't know the obsession with OJ here, but there's a backstory, I'm sure, to it somewhere. I'd be more curious than actually some of these characters here, and the backstories of that. All right, I'll give it a five. Impression. I thought due to some of the creativity and kind of going off the ledge, off kilter here of what's expected from the genre. I thought, an impression that it makes as a different, not intense in terms of storyline here. I'm excluding the storyline aspect. I think that's covered in a plot and entertainment grades here. But impression, I'd say it's like a 7.5. In terms of what, like, if you're giving this movie a chance and you're trying to get takeaways from it. Creativity, I think it's the highest score here for this film, and that's what it accomplishes the best here. Like I said, the creativity with the camera and sort of the setting and the set. I thought they tried to do something different. I always appreciate a filmmaker trying to put a spin on a trope, on a genre that's been done that's very predictable. I guess one thing here, besides the boredom of the sort of what happens here, is that the creativity keeps you sort of engaged in that essence. Like you can notice certain things, like, oh, that was cool how they did that, or I like how they made the spirit basically the camera, and these characters are kind of interacting with that spirit with the camera as if it's the spirit. So creativity, I'll give it an 8.5. Overall, I'm being generous with this film. Like I said, it's not completely unwatchable. I wouldn't spend money on it, but I guess I would give it a shot out of curiosity to see something else. But if you stick around towards the end, I think the ending is unique and sort of unpredictable. But the whole point here is sticking through it. Are you going to stick through? And another point, I'm giving points for this, is that it's under 90 minutes. An hour and 23 is very short in today's day and age. And I think that makes this movie digestible and more watchable because of that. Had this been 2 hours, I'd be lowering the score significantly and saying, don't even bother. But hour 23, even if it's bad or disappointing, you didn't invest that much time. You didn't waste that much time. So I appreciated that sort of a thing that they do. But the more I think about it, it is similar to Paranormal Activity because those movies were kind of short too. So at least it didn't go off the ledge when it comes to time and milking like some of these films these days do. Where there's nothing and they just keep on going and going and going with no story to tell. So overall score, I give it a 60%. So very average movie, sort of slightly, well, yeah, average, I'd say, maybe slightly below average, but as average as it gets here, 60% is the score. So check out Presence at your own discretion is my advice here. But I will also give you advice that you should definitely subscribe to this channel. Click that subscribe button. Actually makes a difference and helps out when you guys subscribe. And I guess you can get notifications that way too when I have a new review or new content. If you like the review, give it a thumbs up. That helps too. And of course, make sure to comment. So if you've seen this movie, are interested in seeing this movie, the movie's coming out January 24th in theaters, so just around the corner. But yeah, let me know what you think. And did you kind of have some hype behind it like I did coming into it? I was looking forward to this actually to start off the year. This was a movie I was looking forward to a few months back, waiting for it to come out, and didn't live up to the expectation and the self-imposed hype I brought onto it. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I will talk to you soon. See ya.